Hi, Dave Diegelman with Equity Real Estate for Southern Utah. It is our December 2022 market preview, and we're going to look at the numbers and the snapshot of the market and where it is. And we have an interesting market right now. It has definitely slowed down for November, December, but that's also not unusual. Historically, November and December always slow down in Southern Utah, with the exception of the last 2 years, which was just nutso. But anyway, let's look at it. The number of listings you can see right off the bat, we're hovering around 1,600 right now. Actually, we just went into the 1,500s. We've been hovering in the 1,600s. We're down to the 1,500s, so that's in the report. And you can see it's kind of stabilizing. Many people are saying, well, that's because a lot of inventory is selling again, so numbers are coming down on numbers of listings. Not necessarily, because there's a lot of people who don't list their homes in November or December because they are still living in their homes. They want to have family there. So over here we see listing prices. So this really doesn't have a bearing on a whole lot. It just shows you where inventory segments are in the listing prices. Absorption rate in months is how many months worth of inventory we have. How much inventory versus how many sales. It's a ratio between those two. So you can see during the pandemic, we were down at 1 month. We went actually way lower than 1 month in 2021. But anyway, this was our kind of low right here. And so when we were at an all-time low, that's when we had multiple offers on each listing. And it was just a war zone, really, trying to buy and sell real estate. It was kind of stressful for both the sellers and the buyers, more so for the buyers and the sellers, because oftentimes our buyers, would have to make offers on 2 or 3 different homes and negotiate, to see if they could even get in with multiple offers, negotiating above the list price, et cetera, et cetera. But then prices started coming back to what the comps were. And I'm going to say in about May, June, is when the prices started correcting a little bit. Even though the absorption rate was still going up, we stabilized right here, and it's based on, what was happening before that by typically 30 days. So you can see that it kind of slowly started leveling out. And then the sold to list ratio, you can see over here, dropped drastically down in April, May. So during this time right there. So that's what I was talking about on the absorption rate. So it's kind of interesting to look at these from a realtor's perspective. This is kind of normal. Normally people will list their home somewhat close to the comps. If they have a good realtor, the realtor will say it's not even worth listing way above the comps, because that usually is just a waste of time because you don't get showings. So sometimes people will, by default, they'll list it about 5% above the comps. And so it would be normal during that marketplace to see the sales at 95%. So that's kind of what we went down to. And then we had the drop in November, which again, I kind of attribute to the market does slow down in November and December oftentimes. So I think we're going to come back into this 94%, 95%, which is basically the listings get put on the market right over the comps, maybe 5% over the comps. So right now we haven't really seen the sold prices drop drastically. What we have seen is the sold to list ratio drop drastically. So let's say a $500,000 house gets put on the market, 5% of that, which we're at about 7% right now, but 5% of that would be about $25,000 less. So if it got put on the market $25,000 over what the comps were, it probably is going to come right out at where the comps are. So what that does is it makes our market kind of flat. We don't see prices increasing a whole lot. So we'll see what happens, because our market time starts growing right here in February, March, April, May. So usually about mid-January, I can tell what the market's going to be doing. And we see interest rates now coming down. They're stabilizing is what I would say rather than coming down. But there's some very creative options. I talk about that in the update. And you can certainly call me and I can refer you to a lender that can give you exact things on this. But one of the things a lot of people right now are doing is going into a 10-year ARM loan. So the 10-year ARMs actually have fixes where it's well below the market rate of a 30-year or 15-year fixed mortgage right now. And they're banking on the fact that within the 10 years, they can refinance at a lower rate. And oftentimes these are, very low cost refinances. So kind of makes sense right now because we are going to see the market stabilizes. And I think as the Fed sees that we're in a recession, and that might take another 6 months, but I think we're definitely in a recession. And so do several people that I trust and talk to who are in way more know than I am. We think that's where we're going. Now, it's hard to say, impossible to predict, but the odds are over the next 10 years, you're going to find a lower rate at some point in time and do either a 1 point or a no point refinance. And they do allow these in these 10-year ARMs. And then they have a locked rate, a fixed rate, which is, as I remember, it's reasonable and it's within the realm of a 30-year or a 15-year fixed loan right now. So most of our buyers, with that said, are cash because they're coming out of other homes from other states or up north, or their second homes, and they need to invest in real estate. It's a great place to park money, and they also want to be able to enjoy southern Utah. So that's where most of our market is, at least most of my personal clients, come into that realm. So the interest rates really don't affect them, but it does affect everyone's consciousness on where we are in the marketplace. So we're not in that drastic of a marketplace decline right now. We are, in my eyes, we're stabilizing to a normal marketplace. You can see the price volume of active list volume and sold sales volume. So the sold sales is this black line right down here, and the active list volume is right here. And you can see they're kind of parallel with each other. And so, what that means is the products that are coming on the homes and properties that are coming on the market are actually selling. Our inventory and volume went from a high of about 400 million, and right now we're at about the 200 million mark. It's just slightly under 200 million per month. And that's, again, it's a healthy marketplace. It's not where we were 6 months ago, and thank goodness, because I can tell you with people who were trying to move up, down, or sideways, it was a stressful deal. Because oftentimes it was very hard to do concurrent closes because it was hard to get that accepted from the new house that they were buying, the sellers who were selling the house that they were buying. And so right now we have a lot more leniency and a lot more creativity in the selling and buying of homes. So I think it's a great market. It's a great time to sell. Are we back where we were in that crazy frenzied market? No, not at all. But we're in a very healthy marketplace for buying and selling. Now, I will say for sellers who are on the market right now, you might be frustrated with how slow the showings are. But again, that's kind of normal in November and December for a normal marketplace. And come mid-January, we're going to see an increase in that. And then February, March, April usually tend to be our busiest months for receiving offers, and then May and June, and sometimes up to July, are the busiest months for our closings. And so you'll see that in all of our numbers, all of our charts. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you do have any questions, concerns, you'd like to list a house, buy a house, anything like that, or if you just want some free advice, feel free to give me a call at any time. My direct private line is 435-703-4041. God bless you and have a great holiday season.